located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is Friday, April 6th, and your radio hosts today are
Alice
and Wilbert. We will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayetteville Observer.
And we're going to start with the weather. Today it's going to be a sunny 77. Well, partly sunny and warmer, 77. Tonight it's going to be a little bit cloudy but at 60 degrees. Saturday, a high of 68, a low of 34. Showers and heavier thunderstorms. Sunday, high of 54, low of 44. Cooler with the sun mixing with clouds. Monday, high of 58, low of 46. Cool with rain drizzle. Tuesday, high of 66, low of 41, partly sunny. Wednesday, high of 65, low of 43, plenty of sun but cool. Thursday, 73, high of 73, low of 49. And that's it for the weather.
The applause section. Ron Valua of Carthage, who is in the Mechanical Engineering program, was named to the Fall 2017 Dean's List at the Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. Today in history. Today is Friday, April 6th, the 96th day of 2018. There are 269 days left in the year. Today's highlights. On April 6, 1968, 41 people were killed by 2 consecutive natural gas explosions at a sporting goods store in downtown Richmond, Indiana. In 1830, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was organized by Joseph Smith in Fayette, New York. In 1862, the Civil War Battle of Shiloh began in Tennessee as Confederate forces launched a surprise attack against Union troops, who beat back the Confederates the next day. In 1896, the first modern Olympic Games formally opened in Athens, Greece. In 1909, American explorers Robert E. Peary and Matthew A. Henson and 4 Inuits became the first men to reach the North Pole. In 1954, Senator Joseph R. McCarthy, Republican from Wisconsin, responded to CBS Newsman Edward R. Murrow's broadside against him on See It Now, said in remarks filmed for the program that Merrill had in the past engaged in propaganda for communist causes. Birthdays. Nobel Prize-winning scientist James D. Watson is 90. Composer, conductor Andre Previn is 89. Actor Billy D. Williams is 81. Actor Roy Thinnis is 80. Movie director Barry Levinson is 76. Actor John Rosenberger is 71. Actress Patricia Darbo is 70. Actress Marilu Henner is 66. Actor Michael Rooker is 63. Rock musician Warren Hayes is 58. Rock singer-musician Frank Black is 53. Actress Erin Myers is 49. Actor Paul Rudd is 49. Actor-producer Jason Hervey is 46. Rock musician Marco Laplian is 45. Actor Zach Braff is 43. Actor Joel Garland is 43. Actress Candace Cameron Bure is 42. Actor Teddy Sears is 41. Jazz and rhythm and blues musician Robert Glasper is 40. Actress Elisa Coop is 37. Folk singer musician Kenneth Pattengale from the Milk Carton Kids is 36. Actor Brett Harrison is 36. Actor Charlie McDermott is 28. And that is today's birthdays.
We have any listener birthdays?
If your listeners' birthdays,
Let's see if we have any listener birthdays. What's today's date? I forgot.
April 6th.
We don't have any listener birthdays. Oh well, if there are any listeners out there who have birthdays and didn't send them in, happy birthday to you. Okay, now need to know blood drive. The Cape Fear Valley Blood Donor Center is experiencing a low blood supply. Donors may go by the center at 3357 Village Drive, Suite 150, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It also is open the third Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. All blood types are needed. However, the center has an urgent need for type O donors. For more information, call 615-5433. There is a blood drive Wednesday at the Fayetteville Observer, 458 Whitfield Street from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. It is open to the public. Story time and crafts. Local author and artist Caroline Marino will do story time with the kids at City Center Gallery and Books, 112 Hay Street on April 14th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. She also will lead them in an art project related to the story. The event, which is open to the public, is for preschool through elementary school children. The cost is $5 per child. Plant sale. The Cumberland County Cooperative Extension Master Gardener Spring Plant Sale is April 14th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cumberland County Agriculture Center, 301 East Mountain Drive. Payment by cash, check, and major credit cards is accepted. All plants for sale are locally grown. There will be plants to attract birds, bees, and butterflies, drought-tolerant plants with an emphasis on plants native to the area. Proceeds support horticulture scholarships, Cape Fear Botanical Garden, the Wounded Warrior Tranquility Garden at Womack Army Medical Center, and others. For more information, call 321-6882.
And from the live wire section, old family photo of Person Street, or now a mystery. Question: I have an old family picture in a frame. Inside the photo is a grocery ad that said it was on 109 Person Street. It says they sold snowdrift lard, gallon jars of fruit, and so forth. I want to know where this store was located and what year it was built. That will help me date my family picture. SM, Fayetteville. Answer: it's a mystery that live wire can't solve. SM, that scrap of an advertisement tucked into your picture frame doesn't offer many clues. The Snowdrift brand of shortening was developed around the turn of the 20th century, according to the SOAR Info Center website. Modern maps aren't much help because Person Street doesn't have a building at the 109 address. The numbering skips from 107, which was a restaurant, to 111, site of a law office. Livewire reached out to Bruce Dawes, a city historian, with your question. He would like to see the photo, the frame, and the ad to see if he can help you get an answer. He said he would call you. Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest and consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when names are given. Contact Livewire at livewire@fayettevilleobserver.com or at 486-3516.
Founders Day speaker calls for service. Historian Henry Louis Gates Jr. connected the founding of Fayetteville State University 150 years ago and the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. a century later to call for new moments of hope in the struggle for justice and equality. Gates, a professor and the director of the Hutchins Center for African and African American Research at Harvard University, spoke at FSU's 151st Founders Day on Thursday. Gates said work is needed to confirm King's belief that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. Too many hands are trying to bend that arc back in another direction, Gates says. Gates spoke about the 7 black men who cobbled together $136 to buy land on Gillespie Street for a school that would become Fayetteville State University. He said that was a huge sum of money since the average annual salary for a black person in North Carolina at that time was about $10 a year. The men saw a need for the education of black people and sought to meet it, Gates said. David A. Bryant, Nelson Carter, George W. Grange Sr., Andrew J. Chestnut, Matthew Leary Jr., Robert Simmons, and Thomas Lomax established what was then known as the Howard School on November 29, 1867. Every black child, every American child should commemorate what they did and be taught their names, he said. The men showed that black lives mattered in their time, Gates said, calling to mind the name of a movement that opposes violence against black people. Black lives matter today, and black lives will continue to matter in the future, he said. Gates recalled hearing about King's death and the mourning that followed. Then we remembered we still had his words, still had his record of action and continuing force of his dreams. He said, "Everyone should try to make a difference in the world," Gates said, mentioning King's quote, that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. King responded to adversity boldly and peacefully, Gates said. The question, ladies and gentlemen, is how we respond to evil. He said, "My prayer is that you respond the way Martin Luther King served." Gates urged those working for justice to seize on common ties between all people and hold firm. He said that's how it was for the 7 founders of the school in 1867, and that's how it was for Martin Luther King Jr. So it can be again today, he said. Jerry Woods, a retired sociology professor at Fayetteville State, said young people need to hear Gates' message. The school's history is important, Woods said. You can't really talk about American history without talking about black history, he said. We have to learn to live together. Chancellor James Anderson talked about visiting the place where King was assassinated. He said anyone who goes has to fight back tears. It's the power of the moment, he said. You relive it standing there. King left a legacy, as did Fayetteville State's founders, Anderson said. He urged the university's professors and staff members to live up to what the founders started. We are links in a chain that they began, he said. That chain is as strong today. University officials also announced 2 major gifts totaling $1.5 million and buried a time capsule to be opened 25 years later.
Fayetteville State receives $1.5 million in gifts, donations to benefit School of Nursing and business programs. Fayetteville State University announced 2 major donations Thursday that will strengthen its nursing and business programs. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina said it will give $1 million to FSU's nursing program. Brothers Don Jr., Charles, and Richard Broadwell gave $500,000 in memory of their parents, Don B. Broadwell Sr. and Charlotte L. Broadwell. FSU will use the money to support the College of Business and Economics by funding scholarships, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Speaker Series. The college will be named the Broadwell College of Business and Economics. The Blue Cross contribution is part of the company's decision to provide $50 million in support of community health initiatives this year, according to FSU. The university plans to use the money in part for scholarships to address access to care and nursing shortages. Dr. Patrick Conway, President and CEO of Blue Cross North Carolina, said in a statement that he has seen firsthand how nurses play a role in creating quality, affordable health care. We are excited to be able to help Fayetteville State University admit and train new nurses, especially from rural North Carolina, he said. To bring costs down and increase quality, we have to think more broadly about what it means to invest in health. This is a great example of that principle in action. A recent study by Georgetown University found that North Carolina is projected to have the second largest shortage of nurses in the nation, a deficit of 12,900 nurses according to FSU. The shortage especially hurts rural communities. FSU Chancellor James A. Anderson said the university is honored to receive the company's gift. FSU's nationally ranked School of Nursing will be able to expand its service offerings, update equipment, and provide scholarship support for nursing students, he said. With a state and national shortage of highly trained nurses, it is imperative that nursing programs in North Carolina seek to address this critical problem. Anderson said he is also grateful to the Broadwell family for their generosity. This donation not only will provide tremendous support for our world-class College of Business, but also will allow us to offer scholarships to deserving students, expose them to renowned scholars and speakers, and further develop our Center for Entrepreneurship, he said. I could not be more pleased that this highly respected Fayetteville family has made this commitment to FSU and its future. Don Broadwell Sr., who was a developer in Cumberland County for more than 60 years, died in 2017. Charlotte Broadwell, who died in 1996, was a member of the family that owned the Fayetteville Observer for more than 90 years. Charles Broadwell was the Observer's editor, then publisher, until 2016. The Broadwell brothers said in a statement that the $500,000 gift reflects their parents' lifelong efforts to help the community grow and prosper. The College of Business and Economics is a shining star of excellence for Fayetteville State University and our region of the state, they said. Under the leadership of Chancellor Anderson and the faculty, it has earned a reputation as a hub of innovation and growth. And more students are going on after graduation to make their mark in a variety of business fields. The Broadwell and Lilly families have a long connection with the FSU. Lilly Gymnasium on the FSU campus was constructed in 1938 and named in honor of Dr. H.W. Lilly, Secretary-Treasurer of the school's Board of Trustees. Lilly was the grandfather of Charlotte Broadwell and great-grandfather of the Broadwell brothers. In 2005, the Fayetteville Publishing Company, Board of Directors, and family members established the Fayetteville Observer Scholarship in the amount of $20,000. Other donations increased the amount to $50,000. 3 years later, Charles Broadwell established the 1867 Endowed Scholarship Fund in the amount of $50,000.
Public Safety, Cumberland County. Jeremy Sean Bellinger, 29 of the 2100 block of Cowan Street, was charged Thursday with 5 counts each of breaking and entering a vehicle and possessing stolen property, 4 counts of larceny, 2 counts of conspiracy, and 1 count of misdemeanor larceny. Bail was set at $65,000. Bianca Melanese Turner, 32 of the 1200 block of Pineview Street, was charged Thursday with breaking and entering. Bail was set at $10,000. Forrest Leo King, 46 of the 300 block of Barrett Street, was charged Thursday with possessing stolen property and larceny. Bail was set at $10,000. Clayton Allen Page, 26, who is being held in the Cumberland County Detention Center on several charges, including violating the Sex Offender Registry guidelines, was charged Thursday with another violation by living within 1,000 feet of a daycare facility. Bail was set at $20,000. Zaire Israel Whitten, 20 of the 7200 block of Galena Drive, was charged Thursday with interfering with an electronic monitoring device and injuring to personal property. Bail was set at $3,000. Christopher Scott McMillan, 50, who is homeless, was charged Thursday with fleeing to elude arrest and misdemeanor offense, including driving while impaired, driving while license revoked, having fictitious registration, interfering with an electronic device, and injury to personal property. Bail was set at $16,000. Break-in. Hope Mills, Crumpler Drive, reported at 5:36 p.m. Tuesday. Television, alcoholic beverages, pool cue and Amazon stick taken. Vehicle break-in. Claude Lee Road, reported at 4:12 p.m. Tuesday. Food items taken.
Air Force lawyers join Gray case. A former Fort Bragg soldier and convicted serial killer with a case before the Supreme Court has found an ally in a group of Air Force lawyers hoping to help end gridlock in the military justice system. Ronald A. Gray, who committed a series of murders and rapes in Fayetteville and on Fort Bragg in the 1980s, filed a petition with the nation's highest court in February. Last month, the U.S. Air Force Appellate Defense Division filed an amicus curiae, or friend of the court, brief in support of Gray's petition, which seeks to have the Supreme Court settle several legal questions hanging over his case. The central issue is a question of which court system, military or civil, is responsible for hearing appeals related to constitutional claims that arise during a conjunction with a direct appeal. Gray's case has been embroiled in such appeals since 2008, when then President George W. Bush approved Gray's eventual execution. Timothy Kane Gray's lawyer has described the standoff as a nearly decade-long contest of hot potato between military and civil courts. In their brief, Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas McHugh, Captain Dustin Wiseman, and Brian L. Miser of the Air Force Appellate Defense Division said they supported the arguments from Gray's lawyers that the military courts should handle such matters. The Air Force lawyers listed 5 other cases in various military courts that are in a similar state of judicial limbo, with military and civil courts each insisting the other has primary jurisdiction. In essence, these petitioners no longer have a court available to them to hear their constitutional claim that they have been convicted in violation of the presumption of innocence, they wrote. The case also would have an impact on future military petitioners. They note in their brief, while asking the Supreme Court to rule in favor of Gray and compel the military courts to assume jurisdiction. Lawyers representing the U.S. government received an extension to respond to Gray's petition. They have an April 18th deadline to file their arguments in the case. Gray is the longest serving inmate on the military's death row and the only military prisoner whose execution has been approved by a president. His petition before the Supreme Court is part of a nearly 30-year legal battle related to his crimes. The Supreme Court declined to review the case in 2001. In recent years, the case has been the subject of numerous appeals, many of which were dismissed or delayed as courts struggle over how to proceed. Gray is seeking a review of several claims of constitutional error during his military trial and subsequent appeals. He has claimed that his original appeals lawyer was ineffective, that his sentence is the result of racial discrimination, and that military authorities failed to disclose evidence about his competency. The case has been heard repeatedly by officials from a U.S. District Court in Kansas, the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, the Army Court of Criminal Appeals, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces. In Gray's petition, Kane wrote that the litigation ping-pong has resulted in a system in which convicted enemy combatants have a clearer system in which to appeal their cases than do many military prisoners. Gray's appeal have taken on an added urgency since late 2016, when a federal judge removed the stay of execution that had been in place since 2008, potentially clearing the way for the Army to schedule Gray's death. A former resident of Fairlane Acres near Bonnie Doon in Fayetteville, Gray was an Army specialist working as a cook before he was convicted of a series of rapes and murders that were committed in 1986 and 1987 on Fort Bragg and near Fairlane Acres Mobile Home Park off Santa Fe Drive. Gray killed a cab driver, Kimberly Ann Ruggles, Army Private Laura Lee Vickery Clay, Camel University student Linda Jean Coates, and Fairlane Acres resident and soldier's wife Tammy Wilson. Gray was convicted during 2 trials. The Fort Bragg court sentenced him to death in 1988 after convicting him of the rape and murder of 2 women and the rape and attempted murder of a 3rd, among other offenses. A civilian court in 1987 sentenced him to 8 life sentences, including 3 to be served consecutively after convictions on charges of 2 counts of 2nd-degree murder, 5 counts of rape, and a number of other offenses related to different victims. Gray has been confined at the U.S. Army Disciplinary Barracks in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, since he was sentenced to death. If he is executed, he would be the first death sentence carried out by the U.S. military since 1961. An execution would likely take place at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, the same facility where, in 2001, terrorist Timothy McVeigh was executed for the bombing of a federal building in Oklahoma City in 1995.
Okay, Bladen County wildfire contained. White Lake, a wildfire that burned more than 500 acres in Bladen County near White Lake, has been contained, but the smoke will linger, the NC Forest Service said Thursday. The Old House Bay Fire, which started Monday, was burning in areas near NC 53, NC 51, and NC 210. Forest Service's firefighters worked Thursday to douse hot spots, but interior burning will continue in pockets of organic soil along with stumps and logs, said Fire Service. The burning will continue for several weeks, producing a large amount of smoke, and will last until there has been sufficient rainfall, the release said. Smoke will continue to be a concern for drivers in coming weeks, especially in the morning and evening hours. Fog could exacerbate the conditions. Drivers should be alert and use headlights when traveling through smoky areas.
Fayetteville Police Chief to discuss the importance of writing. Fayetteville Police Chief Gina Hawkins will discuss the importance of writing during a panel April 12 at Methodist University. The discussion from classroom to career, a community panel discussion, will be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the university's PA auditorium. The event, hosted by the Methodist University Writing Center and the Center for Research and Creativity, is open to the public. The panel also will include Ben Garrard, Community Relations Manager for the Fayetteville Marksman Hockey Team, SBI agent Lee Newcomb, and Elise Bailey, a certified wound care specialist at the VA Medical Center. The discussion will center on the ways that writing proficiency can affect job performance and success. There will be a question and answer session at the end of the discussion. A reception with light refreshments will follow. Representatives from Career Services will be available to review cover letters and resumes. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Alice
and Wilbert. We are proud to serve you today.
You done? Okay. Front Porch Post stops fleeing blatant suspect. Elizabethtown. A poster on the front porch of an Elizabethtown residence helped deputies take into custody a man who was trying to run from them Wednesday, the Bladen County Sheriff's Office said. Randolph Eugene Miller, 39, of the 600 block of Blanche Street in Elizabethtown, was arrested on multiple drug offenses and assaulting an officer in the fracas that started about 9 a.m., Major Larry Guyton said. Deputies from the Narcotics Division went to the residence to arrest another person, a sheriff's office release said. The address of the residence was not given, and it was not known if Miller lived there. As deputies approached the front door, Miller walked out the door as if he was leaving, the release said. When agents approached Miller, they could smell marijuana on him, and when asked what he had in his pockets, Miller began to run. Sheriff James Vicker said in his release, he didn't get far, Guyton said. He got about 8 feet away. That's because Miller looked back at the deputies and ran into the front porch post, knocking him down. Miller continued to struggle with lawmen, breaking the deputy's finger in the process, Guyton said, before he was taken into custody. Miller was charged with 3 counts of possessing a counterfeit controlled substance. He's also facing charges of trafficking cocaine by possession, manufacturing cocaine, possessing cocaine, possession of marijuana, maintaining a drug dwelling, possessing cocaine with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver, assault with a deadly weapon on a government employee, and misdemeanor charges of possessing drug paraphernalia, resisting arrest, and communicating threats. Bail initially was set at $250,000, Guyton said, but it was raised Thursday morning to $500,000 after Miller was charged with being an habitual felon.
Record number of women filed to run for U.S. House seats. Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The number of women running for the U.S. House of Representatives set a record Thursday. The vast majority of the Democrats motivated by angst over President Donald Trump and policies of the Republican-controlled Congress. Their ranks will continue to grow, with candidates filing deadlines and still to come in more than half the states. In many places, women are running for congressional seats that have never had a female representative. It's about time, said Kara Eastman of Nebraska, one of 2 Democrats vying to challenge a GOP incumbent in a district centered in Omaha. A surge of women into this year's midterm elections had been expected since the Women's March demonstrations nationwide just after Trump's inauguration in January 2017. Numbers analyzed by the Associated Press show that momentum is continuing. After Virginia released its candidates list Thursday, a total of 309 women from 2 major parties have filed candidacy papers to run for the House. That tops the previous record of 298 in 2012. The AP analyzed data going back to 1992 from the Center for American Women in Politics at Rutgers University and did its own review of candidate information released by the states. While just over half the nation's population is female, 4 out of every 5 members of the U.S. House are men. The women's candidacies won't necessarily change that. They still have to survive party primaries and win the general election, often against an incumbent with name recognition and a large reservoir of campaign cash. Even with the record numbers, women are still outnumbered by male candidates. But experts say the sheer number of women running, combined with so many House seats open due to retirements or resignations, provides one of the best opportunities for women to make real gains in terms of representation and a change in priorities. Many of the female candidates have focused their campaign message on health care, education, early childhood development, family leave, and workplace equality. Eastman said she was motivated by Republican attempts to cut health coverage for low-income people and rollbacks of environmental protections. She decided to run after her mother, who has since died, was diagnosed with cancer for the 5th time, and saw her prescription drug prices soar even though she was covered by Medicare. It's a great thing for me to show my 16-year-old daughter, Isma, who runs a children's healthcare nonprofit, said of her candidacy. Mickey Sherrill spent years in the Navy flying helicopters before leaving the military for a career as a federal prosecutor. For her first foray into politics, she chose this year to challenge Republican Representative Rodney Frelinghuysen of New Jersey, a powerful lawmaker of the House Appropriations Committee, and was first elected in 1994. Frelinghuysen has since announced his retirement, creating a bigger opening for Sherrill. After a lifetime of service and taking numerous oaths to support and defend the Constitution, when I saw that our democracy seemed to be under attack, I felt called upon to serve again and felt a responsibility to serve my country again, Sherrill said. She is a leading contender in the Democratic primary and could be part of a wave of women running in Republican-leaning districts. In Indiana, for example, women are running in each of the state's 9 congressional districts, only 2 of which are currently represented by Democrats.
Okay, drone program doing well for police. The Fayetteville Police Department is using 2 drones to help officers in situations to include finding missing people, water rescue operations, and even supply drops in events of a natural disaster. The drones have been in use since May 2017, when the department received approval from the Federal Aviation Administration, according to Chief Gina Hawkins. The drones are to be operated in accordance with the departmental policy and FAA guidelines. The drones are different sizes and will be used in different situations. One system drone is designed to be portable and used for rapid reactionary operations, where it can be deployed by a pilot officer on scene in under 2 minutes, Hawkins said in a statement. The other system is used for special investigations and large-scale events such as search and rescue efforts or large crowd gatherings, to include dogwood and international folk festivals. Drones are more affordable to own and operate than traditional fixed-wing aircraft and piloted helicopters, Hawkins said, and provide law enforcement agencies with a lower-cost alternative to traditional aviation. For example, the drone being used for large events can be deployed in less than 5 minutes. One pilot, officer, and observer can search an area with the drone quicker than 20 officers on foot, Hawkins said. If you were to research an entry-level police helicopter program, you would find the cost to be approximately $1.3 million, while the cost of the Fayetteville Police Department's program was under $100,000. The drones were funded by drug forfeiture money. Hawkins called the cost savings significant for an additional tool that will aid in cases while others may not. Once the department was given the FAA approval, an aviation unit was established, Hawkins said, and is made up of officers from different divisions who are trained to use the drones. The unit has already recorded several successes, said Hawkins. One occurred on Christmas Eve, when officers conducted a traffic stop on a man who had outstanding warrants. When he stopped his vehicle, he jumped out and ran into a swampy area to get away from the officers. The temperature that night was 40 degrees. The subject crossed over at least 2 sections of creek that were over his head, Hawkins said. The man became stuck in waist-high silt in a creek bed and was in danger of suffering from hypothermia. The officers quickly switched into research mode. She said the aviation unit was called and a drone was launched. With drone operators providing information to officers on foot, the man was found within 5 minutes of the drone's deployment. Officer safety is paramount in this type of incident, as well as the safety of the suspect. The drone created a platform to conduct the operation with minimal risk to the officer, while saving the suspect who otherwise may have not been located in time. Drones can be used to take forensic photos of complex crime scenes. They are not to be used during vehicle pursuits, for routine patrols, or to assist in ensuing traffic tickets.
Sand Hills Community College in need of nurses education facility. Pinehurst. John Dempsey will be the first to tell you the nursing program at Sand Hills Community College has a reputation for being one of, if not the best, in the state, and he is proud of the program. Forgive him for being a bit biased. After all, he is the college president. As Moore County continues to grow, the demand for nurses and other health care professionals will do the same. Dempsey says in a news release about a bond referendum on the May 8 primary ballot, hyping support for a new nursing facility at the college. The new Nursing Education Center, made possible by this bond, will strengthen our ability to prepare nurses and other healthcare professionals to meet the personnel needs of our county's largest industry. Additionally, this new facility will allow students to experience lifelike simulations of the actual situations they would encounter when working in a hospital. Dempsey says the program needs to expand to accommodate more students, and for it to be under one roof would be all the more conducive for healthcare instructors to better teach and healthcare students to better learn the skills they will need in real life nursing and healthcare experiences. We need a new facility because we've outgrown the old one. Dempsey says it clear and simple about the $20 million needed for a new nursing venue. Our medical programs are scattered across the campus and need to be consolidated. Just as important, we need a facility that makes possible the technology we need for the simulation that is part of today's nursing education. Lynn Pfeiffer, chairwoman of the college nursing department, says simulation provides students an opportunity for immediate feedback. If errors in judgment are sound of critical thinking with guidance from instructors. It is akin to aviation simulation for student pilots. You learn before you take to the skies, and in the case of healthcare students, you learn before assuming your place in actual medical environments. Nursing education is dynamic, says Pfeiffer, a registered nurse with a master's in public health. We are laying a foundation for clinical judgment that will evolve into deeper understanding as our graduates begin their professional career. Understanding the concepts we teach in nursing is important. Being able to apply the learning to situations is essential to improving care for patients, families, and communities. Through experiential learning, nursing students are learning how to be critical thinkers in the context of caring for people of all ages who may have a variety of health challenges. Early recognition of problems can mean early intervention with better outcomes. We are focused on every student achieving entry-level competencies. Simulation, she says, is a teaching strategy that trains nursing students and others to become problem solvers long before graduation. These types of teaching strategies require a different space and infrastructure than traditional lecture halls and labs, Pfeiffer says. Most of our graduates go to work in area hospitals as well as long-term care facilities, home health care, hospice, medical practices, and other settings. And most of our graduates will go on to pursue their Bachelor of Science degree in nursing, and many also aspire to earn their Master of Science in nursing. Having graduated its 2,000 nursing students since the first graduating nurses class in 1968, Sand Hills Community College is striving to open its doors even wider to those who are pursuing what many of us call the most noble profession. A state-of-the-art nursing education facility will assure the vision of its founders 55 years ago. Tomorrow, your vote, your choice.
Hearing set for Senator Clark election residency challenge. A panel appointed to consider an allegation that State Senator Ben Clark has moved out of his Senate 21 district and therefore is ineligible to run for re-election will hold a hearing on the matter the week after next. The hearing is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. April 16th at the Cumberland County Board of Election Office, 227 Fountainhead Lane, Suite 101 in Fayetteville. Clark is running against fellow Democrat Naveed Aziz of Spring Lake in the Democratic primary in May. Aziz lost to Clark in a close race 2 years ago. Whoever wins in May faces Republican Timothy Lever in the November general election. District 21 covers all of Hope County and part of Cumberland County. Clark was living in the district in Hope County when he was first elected in 2012. He has since built a home outside of the district in the Vander community in the eastern Cumberland County. He has said his residence is still in the home in Hope County. Spring Lake Alderman James O'Gara filed a complaint March 13th alleging that Clark's residence has become the home in Vander. State election law defines a person's residence as the place in which that person's habitation is fixed, and to which, whenever that person is absent, that person has the intention of returning. If a district line happens to pass through the person's home, the residence is that location of the bedroom or usual sleeping area for that person. To resolve the challenge, the state board appointed a 3-person panel: Harvey Rayner and Jeff Long of the Cumberland County Board of Election and Robert Vaughn of the Hope County Board of Election. Vaughn and Long are Republicans. Rayner is a Democrat.
Historic Maxton Church destroyed by fire. Cause remains under investigation. Maxton, a church just outside Maxton, was destroyed by fire Thursday morning, Robeson County officials said. The cause of the fire that destroyed Sandy Grove Baptist Church at 73 D'Angelo Road off of North Carolina 71 had not been determined by the afternoon, said Lieutenant Kevin Graham of the Robeson County Sheriff's Office. The State Bureau of Investigation is working to find the cause of the fire, Graham said, declining to say whether it was suspicious in nature. The church was established in 1861, said Emily Jones, the county's public information officer, but the building that burned was not the original structure. The current building was constructed in 1942 and is considered historic, Jones said, and was valued at $244,000. County tax records show the structure was built in 1955. The call came in at 6:49 a.m., Jones said. Firefighters from the Quee Hill Fire Department, about a mile from the church, were first to arrive about 7 a.m., Captain Tyler Wood said. The wood and cinder block building was already engulfed in flames by the time they arrived. There was nothing for them to do but take defensive measures to prevent the fire from spreading to woods and some nearby homes, Wood said. We kept it pretty much contained, he said. The fire, was never beyond the building. The area is not served by any water system, Wood said, and crews had to shuttle water back and forth. Quay Hill was assisted by the Smiths, Prospect, and Red Springs departments, along with the Stewartsville Fire Department from Scotland County. There were no injuries to firefighters who were on the scene until 1 p.m. or after, Graham said. Elon
Speaker offers lesson in true grit. A recipe exists for developing grit. It's composed of 1 part passion, 1 part perseverance, and endless amounts of focused effort. Angela Duckworth, the New York Times best-selling author of Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, explained her take on grit and the correlation it has with happiness and success in her speech at Elon University Spring Convocation on Thursday, April 5th. 4 component factors into one personal grit scale. In Duckworth's terms, the grit test questions are: am I a hard worker? I finish whatever I begin. I have difficulty maintaining my focus on projects that take more than a few minutes to complete. My interests change from year to year. After one evaluates him or herself with this reflection on personal grit, Duckworth advises people reflect on their passion and opinions on quitting. With quitting comes a negative connotation, but it should not take away from one's sense of grit. Grit doesn't mean you stick with everything. In fact, a lot of succeeding in quitting things, Duckworth said. Without dropping her studies in the French language or putting her culinary practice on the back burner, Duckworth says she never would have had time to find her true love and passions. Talent is not the same thing as loving something, Duckworth says. IQ scores and SAT scores bear no correlation to hard work and grit. While talent does factor into success, effort exists with twice as much weight. Duckworth mentioned the 10,000 hour rule, a principle stating that 10,000 hours needed to become an expert in a certain field. However, it is the quality of those hours and deliberate practice that yield achievement. Deliberate practice, as Duckworth explains, requires more effort focused on weakness. Grittier people spend more time doing deliberate practice, ultimately leading to results of success. According to Duckworth's extensive studies, age and grit have a positive correlation, leaving millennials at the lower end of the grit scale. While this may be a result of a digitally dominated era and the increased amount of distractions hindering a strong sense of grit, the maturity principle states that as one ages, their passion and determination becomes more solidified, Duckworth said. However, grit is not fixed and can be changed. To build grit, Duckworth offers 4 tactics. Develop your interest before training your weakness. Know the science of deliberate practice. Cultivate purpose. Change your mind about changing your mind. Duckworth finds that grit and happiness go hand in hand. Developing grit helps those grow in passion and perseverance. She reminds her audience to find those who won't let them quit on bad days. It's our choice about what we want to do. As an undergraduate, Duckworth had her SAT score memorized and constantly wondered which of her peers were more talented or gifted. This mentality was engraved into her mind by her father, who instilled a sense of competition among his children, as Duckworth believes he had her siblings ranked in terms of favorites. Duckworth then realized she had 2 options. She could lower her expectations and try less hard, or develop an "I'll show you" mentality by choosing the latter. Duckworth transformed her career and began to dig deeply into the study of grit. Duckworth is the Christopher H. Brown Distinguished Professor of Psychology at the University of Pennsylvania and the founder and CEO of Character Lab, a nonprofit organization that focuses on advancing the science and practice of character development for students.
Spring kicks off the road race season. Whether you're a casual runner or a die-hard competitor, spring has plenty of options for those looking to pound the pavement. Road races in the Fayetteville area benefit charities, school building funds, and other worthwhile causes. Here are a few of the upcoming events. 5K Donut Dash. When? Saturday. Where? Festival Park, downtown Fayetteville. About 5 Sparrow hosts the second annual 5K Donut Dash. Runners run 1.5 miles, eat 12 glazed donuts, and then complete the race. The nonprofit organization works to fight human trafficking. More information, active.com. The 12th annual Ribbon Walk and Run for Cancer. When? April 21st. Where? Festival Park. About the event includes a 5K run walk course and a 1 mile route that follows Linear Park toward the Market House on Hay Street and finishing at Festival Park. Money raised supports the Cape Fear Valley Cancer Treatment and Cyberknife Center. Proceeds benefit cancer center patients by providing gas vouchers, medication assistance, free mammograms for the uninsured, wig vouchers, art therapy, yoga, and other programs. For more information, bit.ly/rw.registration. 6th Annual Global Run 5K. When? April 21st. Where? Grays Creek Middle School. 5151 Celebration Drive. This event supports Grays Creek Middle School's global focus and student travel. This year's scholarship recipients are traveling to China in summer 2019. The course starts and ends at the middle school. More information, runsignup.com/race/nc/hope meals/race for global education. Westover Spring Spirit 5K. When? April 28th. Where? Westover High School, 277 Bonanza Drive. The event benefits Westover High School facility improvements. It starts and ends on the Westover campus. For more information, call 864-0190. 18th Annual John E. Norman Cinco de Mayo 5K and 10K Road Race. When? May 5th. Where? It starts and ends at the Medical Arts Center, 101 Robeson Street. The course passes by many downtown landmarks, including the Market House, the Dogwood Trail, the Airborne and Special Operations Museum, and Freedom Memorial Park. Cole Humphrey Memorial Run 2018. When? May 12th. Where? Cape Fear High School, 4762 Clinton Road. The event honors the life of Cole Humphrey, a Cape Fear High School athlete who died in a car wreck in 2013. Runners can choose from 10K, 5K, and 2.5K options. More information, runsignup.com/race/nc/Fayetteville. Cole Humphrey Runs 2017 or ColeHumphreyRun.com. The Derby Run, when? May 19th. Where? Terry Sanford High School, 2301 Fort Bragg Road. The 3rd Annual Derby Run in memory of Justin Lopes begins at Terry Sanford High School, Justin's alma mater. The route goes through the Haymont area, including the campus of Fayetteville Technical Community College, and finishes at the high school. Net proceeds support the Child Advocacy Center in Fayetteville, Size World Foundation, and the Justin Richard Lopes Memorial Scholarship of Cumberland Community Foundation. Participants are encouraged to wear their best Derby Run hat and/or costume. Prizes will be awarded. For more information, active.com.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, the United Way Partner Agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by the WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions, comments, please call us at 910-672-1600. Our toll-free number is 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are
Wilbert
and Alice. We are proud to serve you today. And now it's time for our obituaries and funeral notices.
death notices. The following deaths have been reported. See upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer for complete obituary information. Cumberland County, Larry B. Stevens, 69, of Hope Mills, Heron Funeral Care and Cremation. Mayong S. Leonard, 69, of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. Alberta P. Council, 91, of Fayetteville, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Barbara Cashwell, 70, of Fayetteville, Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory, Spring Lake. Charles L. Brindale, 88, of Fayetteville, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Bert H. Johnson, 87, of Fayetteville, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Asia A. Boko, 18, of Fayetteville, Heron Funeral Care and Cremations. Preston McMillan, 95, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. The Cape Fear Region, Mary Kirkpatrick, 93, of Southern Pines, Simmons Funeral Home, Southern Pines. Katanya L. Charles, 38, of Lumberton, Hills Funeral Home. And Tyrus Jones, 74, of Red Springs, Purcell Funeral Home, Lauenburg. Funerals, Fayetteville, Alexis Lynch, 20, of Fayetteville. 1 p.m., Cunningham and Sons Mortuary. Viewing Cunningham and Sons Mortuary today from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Family will be present from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's Cunningham and Sons Mortuary. Marjorie M. Burdor, Fayetteville. The Word of God Fellowship Church, Fayetteville. Viewing at the church Saturday, 11 a.m. to noon. Burial will be at Rockfish Memorial Park, Heron Funeral Care and Cremations. Fayetteville, Lisa Diane Mason, 49, of Fayetteville. The funeral will be Saturday at 1 p.m. at Judson Church Road, Kingdom Impact of Jehovah's Witnesses. The viewing is at Wiseman Mortuary Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Carl Aura Melvin, of Fayetteville. The funeral is Saturday, 11 a.m., Christian Light Baptist Church. Viewing at the church Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The burial, Christian Light Baptist Church Cemetery, Wiseman Mortuary. Flora Lee Murphy, Parkton. Flora Lee Murphy, funeral is Saturday, 11 a.m., Wiseman Mortuary Chapel. Viewing is at the funeral home Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Burial at Panthers Fort Cemetery, Red Springs, Wiseman Mortuary. Renald S. Curtis, funeral is Monday, 3 p.m. at Simon Temple AME Zion Church. Visitation, Colvin Funeral Home Chapel, Sunday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Tommy L. Sandrock, funeral will be, it was Sunday, April 1, graveside, 1 p.m. at Lafayette Memorial Park.
Okay. Mrs. Hortense Tennessee Young Jackson, 82, of Leesburg, Virginia, passed away on Monday, April 2nd, 2018, at Great Falls Assisted Living, surrounded by family and loved ones. The family will receive friends from 10 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. on Monday, April 9th, 2018, at Sullivan Highlands Funeral Service. A graveside service will follow at Lafayette Memorial Park at 11 a.m. In lieu of flowers, a tribute donation may be made to the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. Mail, ARPF, P.O. Box 30783, Tucson, Arizona, 85751, 0783. Arthur Wayne Witt, 65, of Laurinburg, died Wednesday, April 4th, 2018. The funeral will be Saturday at 2 p.m., Richard Bowles Funeral Service Chapel. Visitation prior to service at the funeral home, Saturday, 1 p.m. Burial, Pinecrest Cemetery, Richard Bowles Funeral Service. Sergeant Sean Lamont Bird, 45, of Pembroke, died Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. The funeral will be Saturday, 3 p.m., Lumberton Senior High School. Visitation, Lumberton Senior High School, Saturday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Burial, Campbell Family Cemetery in Orem. Colvin Funeral Home of Lumberton. Herman Hicks, 88, of Lillington, died Saturday, April 1st, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 2 p.m., Cape Fear, A Conference Headquarters Facility, Irwin. Viewing, Dafford Funeral Home, Dunn, Friday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Burial, Evander Walker Family Cemetery, Linden, Dafford Funeral Home. Doris Inman Lewis, 90, of Clinton, died Wednesday, April 4th, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 11 a.m., First Baptist Church, Clinton. Visitation, Royal Hall Funeral Home, Chapel, Clinton. Friday, 6 to 8 p.m., Burial, Garden of Faith Cemetery, Lumberton. Royal Hall Funeral Home. Robert Wayne Wallace, Sr., 71, of Hampstead, North Carolina, formerly of St. Paul's, died April 2nd, 2018. He was born July 13th, 1946, in Cumberland County. Let's see. Friends are welcome at the home of Robert and Shelley Wallace, 9187 Old Ridge Springs Road, Ridge Springs, North Carolina. Graveside services will be Saturday, April 7th, 2018 at 2 o'clock p.m. at Oak Ridge Cemetery, St. Paul's. Memorial contributions made to St. Paul's Lodge, 474 P.O. Box 611, St. Paul's, North Carolina, are suggested. Arrangements by McNeil Mackey Funeral Home. Anthony Tony Joseph Constantino, 79, of Irwin, died April 4th, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 3 p.m., Carr Memorial Christian Church. Visitation, Carr Memorial Christian Church, Saturday, 1:30 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Burial, Hillcrest Cemetery in Newton Grove. Alice Drayton White, 94, of Dunn, died Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 3 p.m., Cromartie Miller Funeral Home. Visitation, Cromartie Miller Funeral Home. Sunday, 2 to 3 p.m., Burial, Greenwood Cemetery, Cromartie Miller Funeral Home. John Willie Peterson, 62, of Rayford, died Friday, March 30th, 2018. Funeral, Friday, 2 p.m., J.W. Turlington School. Visitation, Dolby Funeral Home. Thursday, 1 to 7 p.m. Burial, Hope County Community Cemetery, Dolby Funeral Home. Willie David Crosland, 59, of Laurinburg, died Sunday, April 1st, 2018. Funeral, Saturday at noon, S&L Funeral Home in Maxton. Burial, private, S&L Funeral Home in Maxton. Jesse Pittman Britt, 95, of Lumberton, died Monday, April 2nd, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 3 p.m. Florida Memorial Chapel. Visitation, Florida Memorial and Florida Mortuary and Crematory. Saturday, 1 p.m., 3 p.m. Burial, Florida Memorial Gardens. Maggie Johnson Graham, 91, of Laurinburg, died Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 2 p.m., Cool Springs United Methodist Church. Burial, McNair Cemetery, Morris. Felicia Purdy, 46, of Laurinburg, died Wednesday, March 28, 2018. Funeral, Saturday, 1 p.m., Purcell Funeral Home Chapel, Laurinburg. Visitation, Purcell Funeral Home Chapel, Laurinburg. Friday, 6 to 7 p.m., Purcell Funeral Home Chapel, Laurinburg.
Constant prayer is key to help you never forget God. From the writings of the Reverend Billy Graham. Question: I have to admit that all too often during the day I simply forget about God. I get involved in other things and I just don't think about God like I should. How can I overcome this? P.S. Answer: never forget. Even when we forget God, He never forgets us because He loves us. Just before He ascended in heaven, Jesus told His followers, "And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." Matthew 28, verse 20. What an encouraging promise. Why then do we forget about God or wander from His will? The reason is because we haven't learned to make God a part of our lives every day. We may devote an hour a week to church. We may say a hurried prayer if we're in trouble. And these are important, of course, but they are a far cry from walking with Christ as our constant companion and friend. How can this happen? The first step is to be sure we have welcomed Christ into our hearts and committed our lives to Him. But once we've done this, we need to turn our hearts and minds to Him throughout the day. Start by committing the day to Him as you waken, and then setting aside a few minutes to be alone with God, praying about things you know you'll be facing, and reading from the Bible. In addition, develop the habit of constant prayer. When you learn about a problem someone is having, pray for them. When someone upsets you or tries your patience, pray for them and for yourself. The Bible says, pray continuously. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 17. Finally, ask God to remind you constantly of His love for you. In heaven, we will enjoy Christ's presence forever, but let it begin now.
Dear Abby, I am in my 30s and moved out of my parents' home 10 years ago. Last week I decided to visit them and we went out to eat. Dad has a habit of sending his food back to the kitchen. My steak isn't cooked enough or my food is cold. Could you warm it up? He even does this at restaurants that aren't fancy. Dad has done this his whole life and my whole life, and he is in his 60s. It's embarrassing for me and Mom, and it frustrates the cooks and wait staff. Is there a polite way of telling him to stop this behavior? Embarrassed in the Northeast. Dear Embarrassed, you're certainly free to tell your father that this habit embarrasses you, but after all these years, you and your mother are not going to change him. Restaurants are in the hospitality business. If your father isn't satisfied with his food, he has the right to have it ask that it is served to his liking, and most restaurants will gladly comply. We are not responsible for the actions of other people, and because of that, you should not feel embarrassed about what he does. Dear Abby, people in nursing homes or at home, ill, incapacitated, or retired, still need social contact. In our busy society, these folk are often forgotten, and it is hurtful. People ask your readers to make a note on their calendar as a reminder. If they do, someone will be very grateful for the kind gesture, most likely the recipient. But it may also be their family members. Kindness goes a long way. Remembering in New Hampshire. Dear Remembering, you have a caring soul. Your message is an important one, which is why I am sharing it with my readers. I know most of you are busy people, but a simple gesture can make a world of difference to those who may be isolated.
Today's horoscope, Aries, March 21st to April 19. You are willing to do all you can for another, provided you are able to complete some important tasks that favor your agenda first. Taurus, April 20, May 20. You may be taken aback by what someone else does or says, but if you think about it, you realize that you've been expecting this all along. Gemini, May 21 to June 20. You must avoid knee-jerk reactions today and promote rational thought and honest reflection. It's up to you to prevent chaos at home. Cancer, June 21 to July 22. An issue that you promoted becomes a point of contention among others today. You will quickly identify who is on your side. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Just because you disagree with someone on a fundamental level doesn't mean that you cannot get along. Indeed, you can set an example for others. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. Things are likely to develop much more slowly than usual today, requiring you to employ an increased level of patience. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Watch for new trends to develop through the day. Though a certain endeavor may be relatively new, certain signs are clear as they can be. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21. You are desperate to be taken seriously at this time, but what you have to offer is not at all what others are expecting. Make adjustments. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Others are eager to try what you've become quite good at, but you may not be ready or willing to teach them how to do it just yet. Capricorn, December 22nd, January 19th. Focus on doing what you know is right, and don't ignore issues such as timing and packaging. Indeed, your marketing efforts are key. Aquarius, January 20th, February 18th. You don't feel that it is necessary to share your work with anyone else just yet. Still, it may be wise to do so, even at this early juncture. Pisces, February 19th, March 20th. The more honest you are with others, the more honest they will be with you, and then things can begin to progress much more quickly. Support groups. The Adult Children of Alcoholics Codependency, NOOM, Friends in Recovery Group, Snyder Memorial Baptist Church, 701 Westmount Drive, Room B, 1035. Phone numbers 988-6858. Reformers Unanimous, Addiction Recovery. It's at 7 p.m. 5256 Hummingbird Place. Phone number 719-271-0032 or 910-850-9096. Addiction Programs, 7 p.m. West Fayetteville Baptist Church, 2465 Gillis Hill Road. Fellowship and refreshments following the meeting. 797-5530. Tia Hart Community Recovery Program, 7 to 8 p.m., 138 North Main Street, Rayford. Phone numbers 848-1872. In Christ We Do Recover, 8 to 9 p.m., Hope Harbor Christian Mission, US 301 South, Service Road, of Chemical Dependency. Call Woody at 423-0608 or 424-8800, extension 272. Pray and Play Group, 10 a.m., Falcon Park, Falcon, for mothers and children, 980-1126. Reaching Out family, 8 to 10 p.m. intercessory prayer group, 424-7672. Take off pounds sensibly, 8:30 a.m. Cumberland United Methodist Church, 2262 George Owen Road, 800-932-8677. Alcoholic Anonymous, 7 a.m. to noon, 626 Sandalwood Drive, Hillsborough Street. Narcotics Anonymous, to find weekly meeting times and locations, call 866-418 or 866-9500 or go to crna.org. Al Anon, 6 p.m. Holy Trinity Episcopal Church, 1601 Rayford Road.
Okay. Drone video capture Civil War era shipwreck. Holden Beach. 42-year-old from Fayetteville says he captured some unique images of a Civil War shipwreck off the coast. Brent Garlington told Fox News he spotted a wrecked blockade steamer at an inlet between Holden Beach and Oak Island. Holden Beach is about 30 miles southwest of Wilmington. Garland flew a drone at low tide this week and recorded the video. He says his brother-in-law had seen the wreckage last year while flying a helicopter over the area. Michelle Walker with the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources says the wreckage is one of 3 vessels known to have gone down in the area. Walker says the wreckage occasionally shows up because of the movement of sediment. On Fox News' website, Arlington described in reporter Madeline Faber's story how he was able to capture the images. You really can't see it that clearly unless it's low tide, he said. Garlington doesn't believe this is a first-time discovery, but he does believe this is the first time it has been seen from this perspective. He told Fox News that the tide was low because of the full moon. This prompted him to take a walk on the beach sandbar and ultimately capture the footage using a drone, the story says. The Fox News piece goes on to say Garlington first heard about the particular steamer from his brother-in-law, who's a pilot and a big history buff. His brother-in-law spotted the steamer while flying a helicopter over the same area last year. Others have noticed it while fishing or riding on a boat. The story caught a bit of viral momentum after he posted the Friends of Holden Beach Facebook group. A Google search using his name shows that news outlets across the country have picked up various media versions of his story.
From other regional news, power struggle with Cooper and lawmakers. Raleigh, the unrelenting power struggle between North Carolina Republicans and Democratic Governor Roy Cooper landed in court again Wednesday. This time with the two sides tangling over who controls money from federal block grants and a high-profile legal settlement. Republican legislative majorities last summer agreed to use federal grants for health and community development programs and the compensation Volkswagen paid after its emissions scandal on pollution measures for diesel vehicles. Cooper's attorneys balked, saying the General Assembly is shifting cash designated by federal law and congressional policy to specific areas. The governor is responsible for allocating that money, and lawmakers shifted more than $6 million from 2 federal block grants to non-profit organizations, the governor's attorney said. Cooper has sued the legislature over control of the money. At stake is more than $100 million, including about $90 million from Volkswagen. But nearly $1 billion a year in federal funds flow through the State Department of Health and Human Services, noted Martin Wall, an attorney representing Senate Leader Phil Berger and House Speaker Tim Moore, both Republicans. Wall argued in court Wednesday that under the state constitution, lawmakers get to decide how to spend money that is deposited in state accounts. This is about the balance of power, Wharf told Superior Court Judge Henry Height Jr. Cooper wants some money to go differently than through the legislative appropriations, Wharf said. Federal block grants, including the specific ones now in dispute, have been allocated by lawmakers for decades, Wharf said. The federal grants were included in state budgets approved while Democrats largely ran state government, including when Cooper was in the General Assembly. Cooper's attorneys argued that the General Assembly is unconstitutionally preventing the governor from making sure the money goes to its intended purposes. In an email to the Associated Press, the governor's spokesman, Ford Porter, contended that lawmakers also are infringing on the governor's role in spending decisions involving outside funds. In the past, these appropriations matched the governor's recommendation or were approved when the governor signed the legislature's proposed budget, Porter wrote. If the General Assembly includes these funds in their budget process, it must follow the governor's recommendations. The court skirmish is part of a larger lawsuit challenging several parts of the state budget lawmakers passed last summer. One provision requires the governor to include money in his future budget proposals for taxpayer-funded scholarships for private school tuition, which Cooper opposes. The governor, now 15 months into his 4-year term, has been fighting Republican efforts to whittle away his power since taking office.
Okay, question. Will distort NC census count? Nobody has a rock solid certain count of illegal immigrants living in the United States. Getting an accurate number is no easy matter. People here illegally aren't eager to step forward to be counted and then most likely deported. The best estimate out there put the number at about 11 million across the nation and around 350,000 in North Carolina. The president and some members of his administration hope to come up with more solid numbers by adding a question to the upcoming 2020 federal census, asking people about their citizenship. Nice try, but the idea is dripping with unintended consequences. It's more likely to send immigrants running from census enumerators and creating an inaccurate count, especially in states like this one, with a large immigrant population. The problem is people who are here legally might run too. Statistics compiled by the American Immigration Council show that there are about 200,000 American citizens in North Carolina who have at least one undocumented immigrant in their household. Those are households that may work hard to avoid being counted. There is plenty of evidence out there about what happens in immigrant communities where there is fear that cooperating with government officials can result in raids and deportation. People, even those in the U.S. legally, tend to disappear into the shadows. That's why adding the citizenship question to the next census form is a bad idea. It's likely to result in inaccurate count and a significant undercount in states like this one. An undercount has real consequences. This state gets billions of dollars in federal aid every year, and in most cases that aid is based on census numbers. A decline in head count because a decline in revenue, which will either deprive this state of important services or force state taxpayers to take up the slack. We're also on the verge of qualifying for an additional seat in Congress. If our population growth continues at its present pace and decline continue in our state and other states, we're likely to get a 14th congressional district, and there's a reasonable chance it will be centered on Fayetteville, the only major North Carolina city that doesn't have a member of Congress to call its own. Both of the congressmen who represent Cumberland County live nearly 140 miles away in the Charlotte area. The ability to elect a local politician to Congress would be a refreshing change. All of those reasons are why we support NC Attorney General Josh Stein's joining 16 other states, the District of Columbia, and multiple major American cities in a suit against the federal government that argues that the addition of a citizenship question is unconstitutional. The bipartisan U.S. Congress of Mayors has also joined the suit, saying that the citizenship question would fatally undermine the accuracy of the population count. The Constitution requires an every 10-year census, and the addition of a citizenship question would interfere with an accurate count. Stein said Tuesday that North Carolinians pay taxes to the federal government every year. In return, they rightfully expect to receive our state's fair share of federal funding for our roads and schools and an appropriate number of members of Congress. That's what an accurate census provides for, and why I will fight any effort to politicize it. There will be plenty of arguments that the suit, brought by largely Democratic state administrations, is itself a political statement, and for some parties to the suit it may well be. But the bottom line for us is the likelihood that the citizenship question will distort the 2020 census results in ways likely to hurt North Carolina. The Trump administration needs to find a better way to do an illegal immigrant head count, and to further cut the already diminishing number of undocumented immigrants in our midst. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600. Our toll-free number is 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are
Wilbert
and Alice, and we are proud to serve you today.
Okay, Best Bets, your guide to what's happening. Friday, Jazz Fest.
All right.
Fayetteville Symphony Orchestra will host Jazz Fest from 6 to 10 p.m. in Festival Park in downtown Fayetteville. Jazz bands and a cappella group from across the state will perform. General admission tickets, including beer and wine, are $30, $25 for the military, $15 for non-drinking, and $45 for a VIP package. Call 433-4690 or go to FayettevilleSymphony.org. On Golden Pond, the play will be presented at 8 p.m. at Gibbons Performing Arts Center on the campus of the University of North Carolina at Pembroke. Tickets are $21, $31, and $36 for adults and $16 for children. Call 521-6361 or go to uncp.edu/GPAC. Miss Dogwood Festival, the 2018 Miss Fayetteville Dogwood Festival pageant will be from 7 to 10 p.m. in the Crown Theater. Admission is $15. Call 323-1934 or go to FayeDogwoodFestival.com. Mud Bash. The 4th annual Mud Bash will be today through Sunday at the Outback Motorsports Complex, 18576 McGirt's Bridge Road in Laurinburg. Features music, ATV races, and more. Hours are today, Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Admission is $40 for the entire weekend. Call 910-506-1078 or go to outbackmsc.com. Pub Run and Walk. Bright Light Brewing Company, 444 Russell Street, will host a beer month pub run and walk starting at 6:30 p.m. Participants can purchase a $10 bracelet good for 3 beers. Call 339-0464 or check the Bright Light Facebook page. Art Reception. A reception for the Mix It Up, Anything Goes exhibit by the Artists League of the Sandhills is scheduled from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Exchange Street Gallery of Fine Art, 129 Exchange Street in Aberdeen. Regular gallery hours are Monday through Saturday from noon to 3 p.m. Call 944-3979 or go to artsleague.org. On Saturday, a Donut Dash, a 5K Donut Dash is scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. in Festival Park. Participants will run part of the race, eat 12 donuts, then run the rest of the race. Prizes will be given for creative costumes. Individual registration is $35. A team of 2 is $60, and a family of 3 to 10 is $24 per person. Go to active.com. Poetry Slam. The Marquis Poetry Slam is scheduled from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Arts Council, 301 Hay Street. Admission is $10. Check Facebook for details. Please note, spoken word events may contain subject matter and language that is not suitable for children. Nature Explorations. The North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences hosts its first Saturday Nature Explorations program at 10:30 a.m. Guests are invited to bring a pair of binoculars and a camera to explore Helms Preserve at 543 Sunset Terrace in Whiteville. Call 910-914-9185 or email Meredith Morgan at meredith.morgan@naturalsciences.org. City of the Week. The band performs with other bands at the Drunk Horse Pub, 106 Southeastern Boulevard. Tickets are $10 to $12. Doors open at 7 p.m. Check Facebook for details. Mental Health Program. A program on the effects of pharmaceuticals on mental health will be presented by Dr. Antonio Cusi at 9 a.m. at the Kiwanis Recreation Center, 352 Diva Street. The program is part of the Happiness Yoga Series. Call 867-0070. Rockefeller House Tour. Carvers Creek State Park, 2505 Long Valley Road in Spring Lake hosts a tour of the historic Rockefeller property at 10 a.m. Tours are free, but participants must sign up ahead of time. Call 436-4681 or go to ncparks.gov. And on Sunday, Chamber Music Concert. The Larkin Duo with Bonnie Thrawn will perform at 3 p.m. at the Weymouth Center for the Arts, 555 East Connecticut Avenue in Southern Pines. A reception to meet the musicians will follow the concert. Tickets are $10 for members, $20 for non-members, and will be available at the door. Students under 18 will be admitted free. Call 69261 or go to weymouthcenter.org.
Okay, Greek tragedy, Thrill Ride. Antigone is a Greek tragedy written more than 400 years before the birth of Christ. But for Montgomery Sutton, the play is no stodgy drama. Sutton is directing a production of the play for the Gilbert Theater. Antigone opens today with productions continuing through April 22nd. It's an 85-minute no intermission thrill ride, Sutton said. It's the original family political thriller. Antigone was written around 440 BC by Sophocles. It centers on the aftermath of a civil war in the Greek city of Thebes. Prior to the events depicted in the play, two brothers, Eteocles and Polonius, have died fighting on the opposite sides in the war. Creon, the new ruler of Thebes, has decreed that Edocles will be honored while Polynices will be denied proper burial rites. In ancient Greece, that is no small thing. To the Greeks, what this means is that his soul couldn't pass on, Sutton said. Antigone is a sister of Polynices, and Edocles wants to defy Creon and give her brother a proper burial. Antigone's sister, Ismene, opposes her in her effort. That sets up a conflict which questions the ethics of opposing man's law in favor of a higher authority and the value of mercy. Sutton, who recently starred in Cape Fear Regional's theater production of Henry V, has performed in many classic plays off Broadway and elsewhere, including King Lear, A Midsummer's Night's Dream, and Romeo and Juliet. Ashanti Rodriguez plays the title role in Antigone. The University of North Carolina at Pembroke student performed in plays in her native Buffalo, New York. Michael Carney plays Creon. Carney's local credit includes Sense and Sensibility, The Cherry Orchard, and Wait Until Dark. Helen Stephan plays Ismene. The three had a cast that also includes Larry Carlisle's Justin Toyer, Ricardo Morgan and Linda Flynn, James Merkel, Evie King, and Nikki Flynn. The play is being presented as a musical. Cara Arena wrote the music and Sutton wrote the words based on Sophocles' work. The song helps to create the world of Thebes and the spirituality of the play, and to allow the theme of the play to be explored, Sutton said. Visitors to the Gilbert will notice a change in the audience seating arrangement. The seating is tennis court style, which means chairs are facing each other along a walkway where the actors enter. There is also seating on stage. Because of the change in the seating, the play can only accommodate about 75 people per performance instead of the usual 100. Matthew Overturf, the Gilbert's artistic director, said the audiences should not expect the Antigone they may have read in long ago literature class. This is not the stodgy, dusty old play you read in high school by the stretch, Overturf said. This is fresh, new, and engaging version of the story.
Alligator hunting is now legal in North Carolina. But will any of our communities opt in? Southeastern North Carolina, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission earlier this year approved a limited hunting season for alligators if a municipality requests it. Yet so far, no one is biting. Currently, alligator hunting is limited to population reduction hunts at the request of cities, towns, and villages in certain coastal counties, including Onslow, Carteret, Jones, Brunswick, New Hanover, Pender, Craven, Hyde, and Pamlico counties. Municipalities have until May 1 to request a hunt that would run from September 1 to October 1. But as of the end of March, no one had taken the bait. We haven't been contacted by any towns yet, said Alicia Davis, a wildlife diversity biologist with the commission. The rules recently passed allowing the conditional alligator hunting were a means of working with municipalities that might have been struggling with a large, disrupted alligator population, while biologists conduct research over the next few years to learn more about the species, distribution, and habitat needs of North Carolina. The last major count, conducted in 2012 and 2013, showed the state's alligator population had remained stable or increased since the previous effort was published in 1986. Some hot spots included the Croton's Forest, Lake Ellis, Simone, where researchers found 53 gators, up from 33 in the last study, and Brunswick County's Orton Pond, which had increased from 40 to 79 alligators. Biologists also are eager to determine how often the state's alligators breed, since North Carolina represents the northernmost border of the species range, resulting in lower densities. Then there's the alligator's protected status. The reptile remains on the federal threatened species list because of its resemblance to the American crocodile. Davis said the commission's hunting rules were simply a way to set up the framework, and it could be a few years until the commission considers whether to further open the doors and issue alligator hunting permits to the public. A similar framework has been established for elk, but the commission has yet to actually issue any permits to hunt elk. If a municipality requested an alligator hunt, the commission would work with the individual municipality on where the hunts could take place, as well as survey the local alligator populations in the area to come up with a number of permits to be issued. At that time, the commission would announce they are accepting the application for permits. There would be no limit to how many people could apply for the permits, but the commission would draw whatever the number of permits was via a lottery system. Since we're not going to issue any permits unless we have a request from municipalities, then the season will be in place, but no one will be able to actually hunt an alligator without a permit, Davis said. It's designed in a way that municipalities can decide what works for them, but it also creates a situation where we can work closely with them. Alan Boyington, Wildlife Diversity Program Coordinator for the North Carolina Wildlife Commission, said the permits would depend on a couple of factors. It would depend on the population of the city and the number of alligators, Boyington said. No thank you. While no municipalities in Brunswick, New Hanover, or Pender counties have requested a hunt, one Brunswick County town recently decided to take steps in the opposite direction, passing a resolution opposing alligator hunting within town limits. Belleville Mayor Mike Allen said his town doesn't have a problem with the state having an alligator season, but with an expansive park system along the Brunswick River allowing visitors to view animals in their natural habitat, Belleville wants to remain a sanctuary for the animals. I feel like at one time alligators were almost hunted to extinction, and now they're back, Allen said. I'm glad to see that, so we want to make that preservation continue within our town limits. For multiple municipalities across eastern North Carolina, interest just isn't there. In fact, in Jacksonville, just seeing an alligator has been enough. City Manager Dr. Richard Woodruff doesn't imagine a demand for open season. At this point, no one has brought this to the city for consideration, Woodruff said. But the city has had its experiences with alligators, including a 14-foot fellow who was hunted after attacking a local dog in 2014 and now rests at the Onslow County Nature Center. Woodruff said the city will take steps to ensure residents remain safe when an alligator appears to be a danger to the public. Howard Martin, the director of Onslow County Animal Services, said any calls concerning alligators are forwarded to the Wildlife Commission. We're not in the alligator business, Martin said. There's not enough business to extend that training.
Oh my goodness, alligator hunting in North Carolina, wow. Better strategy for DACA. President Trump's tweet promising no more DACA deal was an Easter gift to Democrats, letting them off the hook for their failure to seriously negotiate an immigration agreement, rather than pulling the plug on any deferred action for childhood arrival talks. Trump should offer Democrats a simple deal. He would agree to codification of President Barack Obama's DACA action in exchange for funding for the president's border wall. Earlier this year, Trump extended Democrats a remarkable offer. Instead of simply granting legal status to current DACA recipients, he would agree to a path to citizenship for nearly 2 million Dreamers, those who were brought to the United States as children through no fault of their own, if Democrats would agree to fund his border wall, limited chain migration, and get rid of the visa lottery system. It was a bold move, one that earned him scorn from many in his own base. Democrats should have seized this opportunity. Instead, they rejected it and refused to make a serious counteroffer. Their actions showed they care more about mobilizing voters in 2018 with full outrage than they do about helping actual Dreamers become American citizens. Trump tried going big, and it didn't work. Now he should go small. Obama's executive action on DACA was far more limited than what Trump proposed for Dreamers, offering no path to citizenship or even permanent legal residency. It simply shielded the Dreamers from deportation, allowing them to remain in the United States to work and study. But Obama's action was arguably unlawful because it bypassed Congress. The same reason the Deferred Action for Parents of Americans and Lawful Permanent Residents, or DAPA, program was declared unlawful by the courts. Codifying the order would indefinitely remove the threat of deportation for DACA recipients. It would get Trump the wall funding he so desperately wants, and it would save making a deal to provide a path to citizenship in exchange for reform to our legal immigration system for another day. Senate Republican Conference Chairman John Thune has legislation to do just that. Thune's bill is a simple trade. It would extend the DACA program indefinitely in exchange for $25 billion in border security funding. This should be a no-brainer for Democrats. If they were to refuse, they would have to explain to Dreamers why stopping Trump from building a wall is more important than protecting their ability to stay in the United States. Historically, Democrats and Republicans have agreed that a nation-state needs to control its own borders. It is a national security imperative, a law enforcement imperative, and a fiscal imperative. Only in the age of Trump have Democrats taken opposition to border security to such an absurd extreme. They shouldn't sacrifice the well-being of real people, DACA recipients, over their opposition to assemble the wall. If Democrats rejected such an offer, it would expose the crass way they are holding the DACA recipients hostage for political gain. And if, by some miracle, Democrats did agree to such a deal, it would be a confidence-building step that might make further bipartisan action on immigration possible. This should be a no-brainer for the president as well. Polls have shown that nearly 9 in 10 Americans want DACA recipients to stay, and Trump himself has repeatedly said he wants to find a way for them to remain in the country. So why would Trump choose to take responsibility for the failure to reach a DACA deal that would let them stay, rather than keeping the blame right where it belongs, with the Democrats? After Trump's no-deal tweet, Democrats were quick to blame Trump. Senator Kamala D. Harris of California responded on Twitter by declaring this administration doesn't want a solution for Dreamers. They want red meat for their base. It's ironic, but that is precisely the Democrats' immigration strategy. Trump should call them on it by making them an offer they can't refuse.
From the opinion page, what killed Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King's men had a different question. At least according to his aide, Andrew Young, they did. When the first reports went out that King had been gunned down while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in this in this city. America and the world demanded to know one thing: who did it? Who was the sniper who shot him from a flophouse window? Who killed Martin Luther King? But as Young put it in the American Experience film Roads to Memphis, we were never concerned with who killed Martin Luther King, but what killed Martin Luther King. It was the question King himself had posed about the murder 5 years earlier of John F. Kennedy. Not that there was ever any real doubt. From the moment King was felled 50 years ago this week, the what of this murder was clear as mountaintop air. Fear purchased the gun, delusion loaded it, ignorance adjusted the sight, intolerance pulled the trigger. 50 years ago, those forces killed the man. They have sought ever since to kill the memory. There is a myth some of us cherish, and it goes like this. There used to be racism in this country, a distant and benighted time about which it's best not to talk and impolite to even recall. Then Martin Luther King organized a boycott, led some marches, and gave a speech about a dream. And ever since, equality has reigned. It's a silly myth because it ignores the realms of evidence and towers of testimony proving that racism continues to stunt, blunt, and take the lives of people of color. It's an offensive myth because it reduces King to an anodyne figure harmless enough to be embraced by conservatives who conveniently forget that while he was here, they stood against everything he stood for. And it's a dangerous myth because it allows the willfully, woefully gullible to believe we have won the battle for social justice, when in truth we have yet to seriously engage it. Yet the forces that killed him uses this myth to kill our memory of the provocative, radical, progressive prophet and preacher that he was. So successful have they been that Glenn Beck, with a straight face, claimed the mantle of king a few years ago. So successful that some people are indignant when it's pointed out to them that Colin Kaepernick is actually following King's example. So successful that King's youngest child, Bernice, recently tweeted how someone told her that her father didn't offend people. All this is foolishness, but the foolishness exists because we allow it to, because we fail to vote like we could, teach and organize and agitate like we should. So 50 years after King was killed, police still get away with murder. People working full-time jobs still can't feed themselves. We still take necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes. Our children are still ground up by unnecessary war. African Americans are still last hired, first fired, still disproportionately poor, sick, uneducated, and killed. Also, Jeff Sessions is Attorney General and Donald Trump President. No, things are not as awful as they once were, but less awful is not a synonym for good. So those of us who believe in social justice, not as abstract possibility, but as critical necessity, must reclaim the lost memory of King and defend it with adamantine will from those who would smother it in myth, not just because it inspires, but also because it impales. Indeed, in his last public words, Martin Luther King summoned us up to the mountaintop, and 50 years down the line, that call rings with fresh urgency. We have lingered in the valley too long.
Amen. Okay, this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way Partner Agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your hosts today have been Alice and
Wilbert.
and we were proud to serve you today.
This concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts have been
Alice
and Wilbert. At 4 p.m. you can hear Off the Bookshelf. Additionally, you will hear a broadcast of today's Fayetteville Observer tonight at 9 p.m. We will join now the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. Thank you for tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you this morning. Have a wonderful day.